Hello and welcome to my channel, Savannah Known Music. I'm glad you decided to join me today. Today we are doing episode 5 of the series, Transforming Invitations. Vocalist, this episode is for you. Let's get started. So, question. Have you ever been just playing for an invitation, playing whatever you want to, whatever key you like, not really thinking about it, and then you're blindsided by your pastor asking you to sing a verse? I have many times, and it always freaked me out, and I panicked, and I have a story to go along with this. I was playing something for invitation. I think it was Are You Washed in the Blood, but I'm not sure. So it's written in A flat. So I was just up there playing my traditional whatever I do. I go. All's going well. And then your pastor looks at you and he goes, "Hey, can you sing a verse of that?" And I'm like, so I was like, okay, well this is too high because I know that my high note is, and I don't want to sing a C, which that's what that is. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna lower it, just lower it one. That's still too high. I'm gonna lower it again. I was like, well, I want to lower it one more time, maybe. Okay, maybe I'm good. And then I'd start. Have you been to Jesus for the cleansing power? And you just sat there and you did. You went down 5 keys. And everybody's just sitting there and they're hearing you do this whole circle of fifths thing, just going chromatically down. And you're like, and they're probably thinking, what is she doing up there? It was bad. And I was like, okay, well, I don't want to do this anymore, so I need to be prepared for him to ask me to sing. I just need to start playing in the key I know I can, just in case. So, there's the story. And now, here are some tips and tricks to not let this happen to you. Tip number 1, know your range. Know what notes you can hit and what notes you can't. So for me, my range goes to about a D flat, from a G to a D flat. D flat is a little rocky, so I try to keep it around B flat or C if I can, so G to B flat or G to C. But when singing for invitation, I like to keep my range from like a G to an A flat because I want to sing a little quieter, and if I'm singing higher, I tend to sing a lot louder. So I try to keep my high note in all of my invitational songs in A flat. That's what I want the highest note to be. So you need to figure that out. You need to figure out what note is high enough for you that you're still comfortable. So you can go through and you can sing them. You can sing a song and raise it a bunch of times to see what is your limit. So you need to figure that out first of all. Second, once you know your range and what you're comfortable in, you need to know what the notes are on a staff, because you need to be able to look in the hymn book, see what the highest note is, and lower it to whatever note you want. So I have this little cheat sheet for you. It's a note reading cheat sheet, and it's kind of cheesy and for kids, but I mean, it works. So what you need to look at is the treble clef. The treble clef is that top staff where you see face and Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge. Keep this with you. If you don't know note names, if you don't know how to find them, this is your answer. So face, those letters, they lay in between the lines on the spaces. So the first space is F and so forth. And then Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge, all of those notes, E, G, B, D, and F, lay on those lines. So if a note was on the very first line at the bottom, it would be an E. Okay, so you get that. That takes practice, but you can get it. Okay, so once you know the notes that are on the staff, you look at the hymn book. And for this purpose, I'm going to use 'Tis So Sweet to Trust in Jesus. And we are going to look at the notes to figure out what note is the highest and see if we need to lower it or not to put it in our key. So if you skim through when you are looking to find the highest note, you're going to look at the very top note on the lines. So it's in the treble clef. So that thing that kind of looks like an S, most people know what a treble clef is. It's that top staff all the way down the page. And you see there are 2 notes there on the treble clef staff. You're going to be looking at the top one, and that's the soprano line. And that, if you're singing lead, is what you will be singing. So that's the melody. Okay? So you need to look through that line and see what note is the highest up on those lines. It's pretty simple, but you need to see which one is the highest one up. So you look through and you look through and you look through. And make sure you look through the entire song before you make your decision. We're looking. Okay, the highest note is a D. And if you see on Just to Take, it's on Take. There it is. It's a D. Well, me personally, I know I can't hit that note. I want it to be the highest note to be an A flat. So what you need to do is you also need to learn intervals. An interval literally means just the space in between the note, okay? So if you're in the key of G, what you are in this song, and your highest note is a D, that's a fifth, because you count up from G, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 is your D, so that's a fifth, okay? So when you're changing the key to a key that fits you, and your high note is an A flat, you need to count down 5 from A flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And whatever that 5th note is that you landed on is your key. So this is right for me in the key of D flat if I want the highest note to be an A flat. Now, depending on the time, I may do key changes, and I know that I can go up or down 1 or 2 and be fine. But in this case, if I want it to be an A flat, it's going to be in the key of D flat. So this is how you figure it out. That's kind of a long way to do it. It's hard at first, especially if you don't know how to read music. If you know a little bit of music theory, this is a piece of cake. But you may have to work a little bit if you don't. So now that you know how to do it, you're ready to sing. So I'm just going to demonstrate this with a few other hymns that I have done in the past, and then some that I haven't done. I'm going to do one first that I have done, and that's, let's go with the Old Rugged Cross. Okay? So this is written in the key of B flat. Okay? And you're going to skim through the song and look at that top soprano line and find the highest note on the staff. And looking at it all the way through, the highest note is an E flat. And exchange it some. Okay? That's the highest note. So that is way, 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 way too high for me. I want to take it down to an A. Let's just say so. So there's the A. Okay? So if you're in the key of B flat, you know you're wanting to get to an A. If you're in the key of B flat and the highest note is an E flat, count up from B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 4th. Okay? So if you're wanting your highest note to be A, you need to count down 4 to find your key. So it looks like I need to do this in the key of E because that's what I landed on. And now you're ready to sing because you know that's the right key for you. Now on this next one, I'm going to pick one just random that I haven't done. Let's do He Hideth My Soul. Alright, so once again, you figure out what key you're starting in. It's written in C. Skim through the line, find the highest note. And it looks like the highest note is a D because it's on the 1, 2, 3, 4th line. If you look at the end, He hideth my life in the depths of His love. Depths is a D. That's too high for me. Let's say I wanted it to be, let's go with A. I want the highest note to be an A. So here's A. In the key of C, which is what it's written in, you need to figure out what a D is. What interval a D is from your starting note C. Well, you know that C, D, it's a second. D comes right after C on the piano. So what you need to figure out is if you're wanting your highest note to be an A, take it down 1. And that's a G. So let's see if this is the right key for me. Oh, wonderful Savior is Jesus my Lord. information. You see how it works? I just proved it to you. And I could go on and on and on with many other hymns, but this is the trick. I'm telling you, it really works. So now that you know this, you can rewatch it and practice doing this. Do it at home, or do it while you're sitting there trying to figure out what to play for imitation. It's fine, but it may take some practice, because it did for me too. But now I understand it, and I use it every service. A tip: once you figure out what key is perfect in a specific song, this is why you should have your own hymn book. Write the key down so you'll never have to figure it out again. And you know, if the Spirit's in there, you can change keys up or down one, maybe a half step. So if you're playing in G, maybe go to A flat, and you're still safe. But anyway, that's my trick. That's how you do it. That's like gold to me. I don't know, it's just gold. But anyway, so that's the end of this series, and I'm going to give you a little nugget of information about the next one. The next series is called The Story Behind the Hymn. And I'm going to do about 10 episodes of series and just take hymns that we know and we love, and I'm going to tell you the story behind it, why it was written, what reason it was written for, and then I'm going to play you a little bit of it and sing a little bit of it, just so we can get a greater understanding of where these hymns came from. Okay? So if you have any requests of hymns that you want to learn about, I'll be glad to do those. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through random ones. But anyway, thank you for joining me. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!